Welcome to the Smithsonian Folklife Festival. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Christina. I'm the Ozarks Faces and Facets of a Region curator, and we have a wonderful, powerful discussion for you today. I just want to say, because of the air quality issues, all of our participants are participating in this discussion virtually. But this evening we have a Ozarks women's concert, and it's going to be here in person. But I'm just going to let these wonderful, powerful women take it away and talk about the legacy of women in Ozarks music.
Hi. I fixed. I'm Rachel Reynolds, and I'm the guest curator of the Ozarks Faces and Facets program, and I'm a folklorist and musician, and I live in Fox, Arkansas, in the beautiful Ozarks. And I just have the great pleasure today, throughout this whole process, I've had great pleasure of getting to work with and bring together some of my favorite Ozark people from across the region. But today in particular, I've got a virtual room and a physical room full of some of my favorite Ozark women. And we're going to talk a little bit about, we're all musicians, so we're going to talk about what it is to be an Ozark woman, what some of those qualities are, who some of our inspirations have been. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves. I'm going to start over here on the far right with Meredith Cisco.
Howdy.
Meredith, you want to tell the good folks who you are?
Let's see. Well, I'm Meredith Cisco. I was born in Berry County, Butterfield, Missouri. That's a town with 125 people, and we tried our best to find those people, and we figured they must have just counted all the dogs. I don't know. But there were probably 60 of us that were live people living there, and I grew up in that culture, and we didn't have natural gas, we didn't have air conditioning, we didn't have any of those things. We had a stove that was a real high-tech, powerful, modern, new kerosene stove that we cooked on, and when that was not working, then we drug the little wood stove out that was in the back porch out on the lawn and threw in some wood and cooked breakfast, and that was our normal life. We didn't know about indoor plumbing. We didn't know about a lot of things, but what we did know, we knew to do what we needed to do to make us live and prosper. We were awfully poor, but we didn't know it. Nobody had any money, so it was just how we lived. And then we entered the 21st century very carefully and slowly, and we're still trying to digest things like artificial intelligence and Google and things like that. But I got into folk music not knowing that that's what I was doing. I was learning the songs of my elders, and it wasn't until I talked to May Kennedy McCord, who's a fabled folklorist of the Ozarks, and I asked her, I said, people keep calling me a folk singer, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what a folk song is. You never heard a horse sing, did you? And that kind of covered it for me. I guess I was a folk singer. So, and I've been kind of doing that ever since, and just living my life. And then that movie happened, and I started living life in a kind of a larger way. But
which movie is that?
Oh, that movie, Winter's Bone. We only got 4 Oscar nominations. We didn't win anything, but we did get to 4 nominations. It was Jennifer Lawrence's first Oscar nomination. I didn't know her at all. I thought she was the girl in the back, but she wasn't. Found out later she was about to be a megastar. That's been fun to watch. But that's what I do. I sing and I tell stories, and eventually people get me to shut up. That's about it.
I was going to ask, you mentioned May Kennedy McCord, but could you talk about, I love this, we originally had the idea to put up images of some of our favorite Ozark women, but if you could say maybe 2 names and why, what qualities and why you think that they were the most influential or your favorite or however, just
Well,
to...
I'd have to put May first because I grew up listening to her on the radio every morning, Saturday morning. She had this program called Hillbilly Heartbeats, and she would come on and she would get her guitar out and sing and tell stories and give us a recipe or two and comment on life and times. But she was so articulate and so eloquent in her speech about the Ozarks. She loved the Ozarks. The Hillbilly Heartbeats was a well-named song for her because she loved this culture and was taught us all to be respectful of it, which might not have happened otherwise. That'd be one. And Violet Hensley has got to be another because I have watched her for so long. And my biggest memory, Violet, is used in the Civic Center lobby in West Plains, Missouri, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and you were out there with your fiddle and you were fiddling and dancing at the same time. And I thought, my God, if I could have done that, if I could do that in 20 years, I'd feel like I'd really accomplished something, but it ain't gonna happen.
Pam, you want to introduce yourself?
I can. I'm Pam Setzer, and I'm from Mountain View, Arkansas. I started singing with my mom and dad when I was 5 years old. Mountain View is known for folk music. We have the Ozark Folk Center there. I started playing at the Hoot Nanny, which was out in front of the courthouse. And then we moved over to the Folk Center. So folk music has always been a huge part of my life. I play the mountain dulcimer, the guitar, and the spoons and the auto harp. And, you know, I've known Violet since I was just a little girl. As a matter of fact, she and I were both at 1970. I was here in 1970 at the Smithsonian Folklife Festival. So it's really, really great to be back and to get invited back here.
Yeah, I think in this conversation, we've got the two people involved in this festival that were here in 1970, the last time Arkansas Ozarkers took over the mall, Pam and Violet. And so it's very special to be able to share this time together. I know that you played music and spent time around so many wonderful Ozark women, but I'm guessing one's your mama. Your mama keeps coming up to me as one of my favorite Ozark women that I've had the opportunity to spend time with. But if you were to name a couple, it's hard to
It's hard to narrow that down, but
why?
I'd have to say my mom, because she taught me. My mom taught me to play the dulcimer and the auto harp, and taught me so many songs. And of course, the Carter family was very prominent in the songs that we learned. She loved the Carter family, so we sang a lot of Carter family songs. So I guess Maybelle, which was here, she was here in 1970.
Oh, she was here that year.
So that was, you know, she would be one of my influences. And I guess I have to say Aunt Ollie Gilbert.
Oh,
Just,
yeah.
I know that's a third one,
Yeah.
but Aunt Ollie, I used to spend days. I used to spend days with Aunt Ollie, and she would teach me songs and tell me stories. So, you know, just so many great women that have always supported me and encouraged me in my music.
I love that you have the experience of all these people, you know, mine and Cindy's age, that we hunger for and seek out to try to find recordings or information about Ollie Gilbert or Almeda Riddle, and you just have, and Jimmy Driftwood and and you have all of these experiences with all these folks, which is so good. I wanted to mention, I already introduced myself, but I wanted to mention the introductory video that we watched is one of my favorite Ozark women, although she was born in South Carolina, but her name was Mary Parler, and she collected the largest collection of Arkansas folk material that exists in the country. And her collection's at the University of Arkansas, and you can access all of these people that May Kennedy's in there, and Ollie Gilbert and Almeda Riddle, and all these folks are in that collection. And she's the one that brought me a love of her work, is what brought me into the work that I do. So she's my favorite, and so I was glad to get be able to get her in this conversation
Sure.
via that little video too. Cindy, you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. My name's Cindy Wolf. I grew up in Batesville, Arkansas, and I live in Springfield, Missouri now. I just started singing when I was like, real little, as soon as I could talk, and my sisters had to walk around the house with their fingers in their ears because I would not ever stop singing. And I'd sing in church growing up, and then yeah, when I was a teenager, I got a guitar and started trying to write songs. And so I was more of a singer-songwriter initially when I started playing music for people. And then I got into folk music. Around the time I was in college, I discovered the Max Hunter collection and the John Quincy Wolf Ozark folk song collections, and just really dove in there and kept listening and learning all of those songs. And so that's what we do now. I'm in a band, the Creek Rocks, with my husband, Mark Ballou, and we just dig up those old songs and try to make interesting new arrangements of them. And that's kind of how I learned to play the banjo. I play the banjo now by just taking those old songs and
The ones
making
out there in
them
DC. That's who's
on my banjo. And yeah, that's
I'm so glad, Rachel, that you mentioned Rodney Gilbert, because, I was in school trying to be a singer, and they wanted me to be a soprano and all that. And I could do it, but it just didn't feel right, And then I heard Ronnie sing. You could do that. You could sing high and not go into falsetto. You could just belt that song out and say, "Here you go, there it is," and it changed my life. Hearing her in the Weavers, because it had those three big men singing, and she just plowed right through them and showed them out.
Well,
I like to sing
that's a good singer. We're talking about Ollie Gilbert
Yeah.
from Stone County,
Oh,
Arkansas.
yeah, I know.
And my favorite thing about hearing Ollie Gilbert sing is I love her. She would keep. She had a roll of butcher tape, and she had over 400 songs.
Oh my
Just
God.
like the name or first line of them that she would remember. But the recordings that are unedited that you can find of her, she harked and spit in between, and she told questionable jokes and all of these things that remind me of some of my favorite
Yeah,
Ozark women. Like, there's just this quality to me.
yeah. You said Ali, and I heard Ronnie. Same tradition.
There's this quality to me of Ozark women from different backgrounds, this honesty and candor.
Yeah.
There's always kindness. There's always this deep knowledge behind it, but we're gonna say it.
Yeah.
And I love that about us as women. It's funny because you think about rural spaces and southern spaces and all those things as women being kind of ladies are not in positions of power or whatever. But when you look at Ozark's history in particular, the women were the ones getting stuff done. At Meadow Creek out there where I lived, there's all of these rock walls and roads. And those were all built by women during the Civil War. Anyway, I'm gonna pass it to favorite Ozark women that are joining us from Yellville, Arkansas, deep in the heart of the Ozarks, from Violet Hensley's kitchen there, where many a good tune have been swapped and shared between these women and other young women and musicians that have learned from Violet. I'm gonna let y'all introduce yourselves. Betsy, you start.
You bet. Thanks so much, Rachel. And it's really wonderful to see you all through the camera, and just we feel very together with you thanks to technology. And briefly, I'm Betsy Ellis. I'm somebody who's been spending a number of years with my friend Violet Hensley, who is my fiddle mentor, is how I think of you. I don't know if you knew that, but you're my mentor, and so I'm basically just here to share some time with you, which is precious. But I'm here because of you. Did you? Well, not really. I mean, it's not like you're not my real grandmother, but Violet Hensley, you are now.
Your grandmother's, what's her name?
Well, I had a Marjorie and I had a Mildred, and they've been gone a long time ago. But they're Marjorie and Mildred. But Violet Hensley, right now you're speaking with these fine women who are over there in D.C. But here we are in your home, and you're back in the best way we could do it at the Smithsonian Folklife Festival since 1970. But, yeah, so here you are, and I'm just so glad we're here with you. And Pam Setzer's over there. She with her family. She was there Pam. She was there in 1970 as well with the family. But Violet, what's one of the things that you remember a lot about going to the festival in 1970?
You know,
That Smithsonian Folklife.
well, let's see. I played the fiddle and it was roped off, and some guy on the other side of the rope played the guitar with me.
Yeah, and did he know the tunes that you were playing?
He followed me good.
He followed you good. Well, that's good because, you always play the fiddle your way, don't you?
Uh-huh.
You taught yourself to play, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do it my way.
that's right.
He said, I eat when I'm hungry, drink when I'm dry. My life is my own. Them don't like it can leave me alone.
And then anyone don't like it can leave me alone. You've got a bunch of songs stacked away, don't you? You knew Ollie Gilbert too, right?
Oh yeah, she could just rattle off and talk more than anybody else.
More than you?
Well, we went out to about EQUAL equal.
That's right. You could probably spend who knows how many days in a row just talking and sharing songs and swapping stories and all of that. Violet, you're holding the fiddle that you have been playing for a very long time. It's the number four fiddle that you made. You reminded me, how old were you when you made this?
I was 17 years old when I made this fiddle.
And you learned yourself, didn't you? You taught yourself,
Yeah,
but
yes.
how to make fiddles too.
Yep.
Your dad made them.
Well, my dad did. Yeah.
And I think you told me one time, what did he say? You said, I'm kind of interested in learning how to make a fiddle. What did he say?
He said, he said, I don't want to learn to play it. I just want to learn how to make it.
Yeah. And did he say, there's the tools over there, go on?
You'd better get out with it. My son-in-law said, get rivet.
Get rivet?
Get rivet.
Yeah, nice. Get your rivets. You of course grew up learning how to use all kinds of tools. You were was this near Mount Ida, Arkansas?
Not Idaho, Alamo.
Yeah. But you weren't actually right in town, right? You were out in the country.
We was out in the country, 16 miles from Norman, Wumble. When I was born, it was Wumble. When I was 5 years old, they changed the name of the town to Norman.
Oh, they changed it.
Yep.
All right.
It was Wumble when I was
Wumble.
born, right? Then changed it to Norman.
Well, I wonder, was the mayor?
Mount
Was it-
Ida was the other direction from us.
Oh yeah. Okay, from the other direction. All right. So now, then you moved up to Yellville not too long after you made that number four fiddle, right?
Let's see now.
Were you 18 when you moved up to Yellville, Arkansas?
No, I was 17 when I made this fiddle.
Okay, so right around that same time. And and I've been so lucky to learn all these tunes that I've learned from you. We were playing a little while ago. We were playing on a few tunes. Here, let me see your bow for a second because I think it's caught on your fine. Can I see that bow? It's caught on your fine tunes. Yeah, yeah.
You want to play a tune for us?
Well, that's what I was wondering, if it'd be okay if we play something together, but we got a little tangle here. Violet, let go of that, and there you go.
There it
We're
is.
tangling up our fiddles and bows and everything, and I just wanted to mention too that I've got right here the tradition of whittling fiddles. Violet's known as the whittling fiddler of Arkansas. And of course, she's a national living treasure of the state of Arkansas. And and
Yeah, it was.
how many fiddles have you made, Violet? What, 73?
72 and one viola.
72 and one viola. Let's be specific about that. And Violet's son-in-law, George, made this fiddle, and I'm just really honored to get to play it here. There's more to the story, but I'll keep it brief now. And how about we get our fiddles up? Pick up our fiddle and rosin up our bow.
They have the fiddle and rosin up bow. Go knock the hell out of cutting that thing.
Well, how about if we did something like shortening bread? Did I play it kind of right?
Yep.
Will you show me to make sure? Can we do it
I
together?
don't know if I can
I want to
now.
make sure. I bet. Let's see.
Yeah.
Can you get it up there? You did. Yes, you can. Look at you. Only 106 years young, everybody. Yep. Here we go. It's missing that corner. There you go. There you go. There you go.
Oh, you beat me.
Well, no, I don't think
better
I'm
than
ever
me.
going to beat you. You've always beat me. You know, try it right there. That might be a little easier to get out of that corner of the fiddle. There you go. That's really good, and it's a fast one. That's a shortening bread right there, and I don't think anybody has heard that way that Violet plays it, you know? Yeah. Shortening bread. Mama said baby, shortening. Now, what about singing? Speaking of singing, Violet, you were saying to me that somebody told you one time, some man, he said, well, nobody can sing and play the fiddle together, right?
Same time, yeah.
And you
said, Jimmy, I said, hand me that fiddle.
and then you showed them, didn't you? That's exactly
I
right.
said, it's impossible to sing and play the fiddle at the same time.
You know,
I said, give me that fiddle.
you and I, we were reminiscing about when we met at Silver Dollar City, and that would have been somewhere around the year 2000 or so. And not only can you sing, and you could sing while playing the fiddle, you could do it with your feet moving too, doing the Ozark jigging, right? And playing it on top of your head.
That's right.
It's not fair. You could do it all. You could do it all. What about, you sing with the fiddle on that, Fill My Way with Love. Let me walk, blessed Lord,
In the way thou hast come, leading straight to the land of above, giving cheer everywhere to the sad and alone. Fill my way every day with love. Fill my way every day with love, 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 as I walk with the heavenly dove. Let me go all the while with a song and a smile. Fill my way every day with love. Yeah, man said it's impossible to play the fiddle and sing at the same time.
You said, give me a fiddle.
I said, hand me that fiddle.
Well, I do
He thought it was
say,
impossible because he couldn't do it.
yeah. So, I mean, if he couldn't do it, obviously nobody could.
Yeah.
Well, Betsy, how long you said you ran into Violet at Silver Dollar City in the early 2000s? How long have y'all been playing together?
Well, we've been playing ever since. As soon as I met Violet there at the park, she saw me. She was playing with her son-in-law Tim, and she saw me sitting there, and I must have had my mouth wide open. I bet things were falling out of it. And she said, "Well, what's your name?" And you're playing informally, weren't you, with Tim? And you said, "What's your name?" I said, "I'm Betsy." You said, "What did you say? Do you play the fiddle?" I said, "Yeah." And you said, "Well, come and play with me." And
Get up
that's
here
how
and
it
play
started.
some. Yeah.
That's how it
Get up
started.
here. Yep, that's how it went.
And I was there playing with my old band, and we're from Kansas City, but I grew up in Fayetteville, so I would come down and visit my folks in Fayetteville, and that's just about 100 miles direct from where they live to where Violet still is here
Wow.
in Yellville. And I would come and visit and try to learn how to play your tunes. One time you said I was a pretty good copycat.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that? Yeah. So because it's important to me to, you, Violet, you have a legacy of your music, and you've been generous enough to share it with me as long as I've known you. And
They said, let's see, that cousin said, stick your finger in a bucket of water and take it out. You leave, see what you leave, then you'll leave a legacy.
wow,
That's
that's deep thoughts, like a well.
yeah, that was a
I know Betsy does. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I know Betsy does, and everybody here in the room with me does. Not only know traditional material, but writes original material that's been influenced both by those traditional tunes and by the culture and landscape of the Ozarks. Now, didn't Violet write some fiddle tunes too?
Well, now Violet, Rachel's asking, how we're talking. They're talking there in DC. We're talking here about traditional music and the old time tunes and songs. And I don't know if that you've written a tune. Have you ever written a tune?
no.
But what do you do with the tunes? You learn these tunes, and what happens?
I just learned by ear, by memory.
And then what? Do you fiddle your way?
I fiddle my way. Let's see this. What is it I do?
Who are some of the fiddlers that you learned from?
Life is my own.
Oh yeah, my life is my own. That's right. Who are some of the fiddlers that you learned from, Violet? Well, there's your dad.
Uncle Jim Pettit.
That was down there when you were growing up, right? He
Yeah.
lived down the road.
Yeah,
You learned a lot of tunes from
he
him.
stayed with us a lot.
Once you moved up to Yellville and you started going to things like the Fiddlers Convention and eventually, Silver Dollar City, who are some of the other fiddlers that you met that you thought, oh, I got to learn a tune from you?
Sam Moore.
Sam Moore.
We had the Sam Moore waltz.
He's got the Sam Moore waltz. That's right. Was he from Mountain View
Yeah.
or near there? No.
No, he's from Sam Moore.
Well, it doesn't matter where he's from. He was from around here somewhere.
He's a fiddler.
He was a fiddler. You played, yeah. I wish I could remember that Sam Moore waltz. I know you. You knew Emmanuel Wood. There's a great fiddler.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. What did he play? He played that.
Let's see, what did he play?
What? Favorite? Oh,
What did he play? I forgot.
women. What about? I'm getting cues, Violet. Who's giving me cues? Clark is giving me cues. He's behind the scenes, everybody, and thank you to Clark for making this part possible. But it's a good point. Clark said, what about women fiddlers? How many women fiddlers have you known throughout the years? Or can you think of some?
Women fiddlers?
Yeah, that you know.
Let's see, Mountain View was, what was her name?
I know one. You probably knew Ramona Jones. She was in Mountain View for
Yeah,
quite a time.
Ramona Jones.
You knew Ramona Jones.
Ramona Jones, yeah.
Yep, great fiddler.
She was a fiddler.
Yep.
And
I want to go back to that question though, Betsy. I'll direct it to you, and then direct it to the other ladies here. What is that? How does that work for you? The incorporating the traditional material that you're devoted to learning. You've spent many years working with Violet, but also other fiddlers from the Ozarks and other places, other parts of the country. But I'm
L-O-I-V.
how that works with your work creating original material.
Sure. Yeah, Rachel. I think it's.
For
I
all
mean, that's really,
y'all.
sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think it's really important. It's so important to me to continue the traditions. I feel like I'm always going to be dedicated to. There's always going to be another fiddle tune around the corner or another song around the corner that I got to make sure I try to get that one learned. But yeah, I am a creative person too, and I'm not prolific in my writing, but I remember after really becoming interested in old time music, which was not too long after college, early 1990s for me. And I thought, God, if I could ever write a song that had the feel of those old time songs, life is so different now. But the essence of humanity, there's a thread that connects us. And so, again, I'm not prolific, but maybe there's one or two songs I've written that could be potentially that feel of timeless, and people can relate to it in different places. When it comes to fiddle tunes, I have composed more fiddle tunes than I have songs, and they can get kind of wild. Yeah, I've written some tunes. I absolutely have, and it's a lot of fun to play them, and you can go wherever you want with them, which is an adventure. So I definitely would not have the vocabulary with the fiddle to write my own tunes if it weren't for spending time with Violet. All the tunes that she's learned that I tried to play just like her, because it's part of your language, Violet, how you play. And then other fiddlers who maybe I didn't meet them because they were already gone, but I listened to old recordings and trying to dig into, well, how were they expressing on the fiddle? That every single one of those experiences informs me. And so I'm continually inspired to see if I can borrow from this and that and let my own voice come out too. Violet says, you fiddle your way. I fiddle my way.
Somebody come and said, I can find nobody to play Mockingbird Hill. And I started playing it.
Because you knew how to sing it, right? Did you learn to sing it first and then you fiddled it?
Yeah. And they
Well, I'm gonna.
I don't find anybody here that can play Mockingbird Hill.
But you figured it out. Hey, Violet, they're going to talk about some on the other end too about some of these same topics. Thank you, Rachel. We'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Betsy.
I got two ends, one's on the floor.
We just got a few minutes left, and I'm real interested because I know and love all these ladies both as humans and also their music. But just quickly, what does that mean to you, or what does the culture of the Ozarks and the landscape and the traditional music, how does that play into the original material that y'all create for the generation we live in now? Sandy?
Well, the folk songs that we are inspired by and that we learn, the Ozarks folk songs from those collections I mentioned they're very full of very vivid imagery. They're often about a specific event or a specific place, and you can just be transported there when you're singing one of the songs. And so in composing original songs, that's a goal, just to keep the place in mind. And the best compliment I ever got after a show, someone said, when you were singing that song, I was just transported to the Ozarks. And I was like, mission accomplished. That's what we want. So including just like our surroundings. And then as well, what Meredith said about making Kennedy McCord's love for the place and the people and the language she used to describe it. I was inspired very much by both of my grannies, who were so sweet, and they said really wonderful, cute things. And I just like, I'll steal that from the song. And so just being inspired by strong, independent, powerful, lovely Ozark women, and then the place as well, and just try to be true to that. And plus living there, just be true to who you are, and it should come through.
You do a great job at that.
Thank you.
You do a really good job at that. Pam?
Well, I agree with everything that's been said. And of course, growing up, I grew up listening to a lot of great fiddle players. And I think all of that influenced, like my dulcimer tunes. They're new, but I think they still have that same flavor. And that's what you hope, that it may be new and new to people, but it still has that same, it's your style.
Yeah.
So even though it's a new song that you sing, if it still fits in the folk world, it has that same.
Meredith?
Well, I started out in a funny way because when I was 3 years old, my great uncle Tom discovered I could sing, and he started teaching me songs that were popular to him, which was World War II songs. I learned Slow Boat to China and Harbor Lights and songs like that. But then my dad started working as an electrician. We were traveling around the country to different jobs, And they sang the whole way there and the whole way back, and they were all into the Carter family and Jimmy Rogers and all those folks. And that's my whole growing up years were just soaked with that. And it wasn't until after my parents both died when I was 22. And after they were gone, the only way to bring them back was through the music. And so my whole love of the Ozark songs and everything is all bound up with that love of family and the loss and all those things. And so I have a much more sentimental attachment to them than a historic attachment to them. But it's always the songs of the heart, you know, it's always those. And Ozark's music is, it's like you're talking about Ollie Gilbert and not being afraid to say what she thought and how it came out. You know, being respectful of the culture and respectful of that whole tradition, it keeps it alive. And why wouldn't you? You know, it's just it's too precious not to.
You don't want to lose it.
Well, ladies, I so very much hate to end this conversation right now. But the good news is we get to come together this evening. We'll be doing a concert of an evening with Ozark's women. Melissa Harper and Rebecca Patek will be joining us. And we'll be on the Rensselaer stage at 6:30. And we're going to swap some more stories. Oh, it's 6. Never mind. It's 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
Don't get there at 6:30. You're going to miss some stories. But we'll be telling more stories and sharing songs and looking forward to sharing the best of the Ozarks with you. I want to especially thank Violet and Betsy for joining us. It's such a pleasant taste of home to see your kitchen, Violet, and get to hear y'all. And you're two of my favorite fiddle buddies and favorite Ozark women. So I'm so glad you were able to join us for this conversation, and thanks for making that happen. Thanks, Clark, even though he's not an Ozark woman. He's a good egg.
He can be honorary.
He's an honorary. He's
Sure.
Thank you all, and thanks to the Smithsonian. I should mention sponsors, I guess. Missouri Tourism has been a sponsor of this program, and the main partner is Missouri State University, and we're thankful for them. They've been great partners in this whole thing, and look forward to seeing them this evening. Arkansas Tourism. There's lots of good folks that have come together to make this happen. We're thankful for them.
Yeah.
So we'll see everyone this evening at 6. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Somebody asked me what I done in my spare time. I said, I talk.